I didn't expect to see Arturo standing at my door that night, not when the world outside was wrapped in silence, and my apartment lights were dimmed low. His knock was soft, hesitant, almost like he wasn't sure he should even be there. But the second I opened the door and saw him, green polo shirt clinging to his frame, dark black hair slightly tousled, the faint trace of facial hair shadowing his jaw, I knew sleep wasn't going to happen for me either. Couldn't sleep? I asked, though the answer was written all over him. His eyes, dark and restless, flicked to mine with a pull that tightened something inside my chest. Not when I kept thinking about you, he murmured, voice low enough to sound like a confession. The words hit harder than I expected, pulling me into a heat I couldn't push away. I stepped aside, letting him in, and immediately felt a shift in the room's air. He walked past me slowly, almost testing the ground beneath him, and I closed the door with a quiet click, sealing us off from the world. My red polo shirt felt suddenly too warm, like it carried the weight of his eyes on me, and when he finally turned, we just stood there, caught in the silence. It was Arturo who broke it, his lips quirking in that half-smile I'd always secretly admired. I shouldn't be here, he said, but the way his gaze lingered on me told me he had no plans of leaving. I took a step closer. Then why are you? He didn't answer, not with words anyway. His hand brushed mine, light tentative, and the contact was enough to send a jolt through me. The distance between us vanished as naturally as breathing, his body heat mixing with mine. Our eyes locked in a battle neither of us wanted to win. When he leaned in, it wasn't rushed. It was slow, deliberate, his breath ghosting against my lips, and for a moment, time seemed to pause. Then his mouth found mine, and everything I'd held back for so long broke open. His kiss was tender at first, testing, but the way I responded, the way I grabbed his shirt and pulled him closer, made him bolder. The kiss deepened, pulling me under, and all I could taste was Arturo, warm, insistent, hungry yet careful. His hand slid up my arm, steady but electric, and when it rested against my neck, I melted into him. The couch was only a few steps away, but in that moment, it felt like the world's only destination. We fell onto it together, laughter breaking through the intensity for just a heartbeat before his lips claimed mine again, stronger this time. The sound of the rain outside blurred into nothing compared to the sound of his breath against my ear, the way he whispered my name like it was something sacred. My hand traced the line of his jaw, the light stubble rough under my fingertips, and he sighed into the kiss, a sound that told me everything words never could. "Tell me to stop," he whispered, forehead pressed against mine, his voice unsteady with want. I shook my head, already breathless. "Don't you dare." And that was it. The walls we'd kept between us crumbled. His arms wrapped around me, pulling me tight against his chest, and I felt the steady thrum of his heartbeat under his green polo. My body answered without hesitation. Leaning into him, craving the safety and fire only Arturo seemed to ignite. Time slipped. Minutes or hours. It didn't matter. What mattered was the way his kiss left me trembling, the way his presence filled every empty corner inside me I hadn't even realized existed. That night, on that couch, nothing else mattered but Arturo and the undeniable truth that we were no longer just friends who shared stolen glances and lingering touches. When he finally pulled back, lips swollen from our kiss, he looked at me like I was something he'd been waiting for all along. "You're trouble," he breathed out with a crooked smile. "So are you?" I answered, my voice low but steady, even as my heart raced. And as the night stretched on, one truth settled deep inside me. I wasn't going to let Arturo spend another night alone. The night should have ended with that kiss, with us tangled on the couch under the hush of rain. But something in Arturo's eyes told me he wasn't ready to let go. He leaned back slightly, studying me as though committing every line of my face to memory, his fingers still resting lightly against the hem of my red polo. "You make this impossible," he said, voice low, his words carrying both frustration and longing. "Impossible to stop?" I asked, already knowing the answer. Arturo gave a quiet laugh, the kind that rumbled from deep in his chest, then brushed his hand against my cheek. "Yeah, that." The honesty in his tone disarmed me. It wasn't just attraction, though that was undeniable, coursing like fire between us. It was something heavier, something real. For so long we'd dance around what we felt both too careful, too afraid of what it might mean. But tonight, in the quiet glow of my living room, we weren't pretending anymore. He shifted, pulling me closer until my head rested against his shoulder. I could smell the faint hint of cologne lingering on his green polo, warm and grounding. His hand traced absent patterns on my arm, and I let my eyes fall shut, savoring the simple intimacy of it. "You know," he said after a long silence, "I almost turned around on the way here, told myself it was crazy, that I should just deal with it." I lifted my head, meeting his gaze. "Deal with what?" "The nights without you." His words landed like a weight in my chest. The way I lie awake wondering what it would feel like to finally stop holding back. My throat tightened. He wasn't just talking about tonight. He was talking about all the moments we'd wasted, all the nights spent apart when we could have been right here, like this. I didn't let him finish. I leaned forward and kissed him again, slow but certain, pouring every answer into that one act. This time, it wasn't hesitant. It was a kiss that claimed, that confessed, that demanded we stop running. His lips pressed harder against mine, his hands sliding up my back until I felt his grip anchor me in place. I matched him, pressing close enough to erase every last inch between us. When we broke apart, breathless, Arturo's forehead rested against mine. "I don't want to pretend anymore," he whispered. "Then don't," I told him, my voice trembling with both fear and certainty. Something shifted in him then. His hesitation melted, replaced with fire I'd only ever caught glimpses of. He pulled me into his lap effortlessly, his arms circling me as if I belonged nowhere else. His dark eyes locked with mine, unflinching, and for once, we didn't bother with excuses. We sat there for what felt like forever, lips finding each other again and again, each kiss heavier, deeper, more consuming. My hands roamed his shoulders, memorizing the way his green polo stretched across him, the warmth of his skin beneath. He kissed me like a man starved, like every night alone had led to this moment, and I gave myself over to him completely. At some point, the storm outside calmed, leaving the quiet hum of the night. But inside, the storm raged on. Every glance, every touch, every kiss was louder than thunder. I wanted more, not just tonight, not just a stolen piece of forever, but every day after. As if reading my thoughts, Arturo pulled back slightly, his chest rising and falling against mine. "Promise me something," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Anything. Don't let me push you away when I get scared. Because I will. I always do." His jaw tightened, that vulnerable crack in his armor showing for the first time. I placed my hands against his face, forcing him to meet my eyes. "I'm not going anywhere, Arturo. Not tonight, not ever." His shoulders dropped, as though those words had lifted something heavy off of him. And then, with a smile so rare and unguarded it nearly undid me, he kissed me again, this one softer, sweeter, a promise in itself. By the time we finally pulled apart, the first light of dawn was filtering through the curtains, painting the room in pale gold. Arturo looked at me with sleepy eyes, his head leaning against the back of the couch, and for the first time, he seemed at peace. "You know what's funny?" he murmured. "What?" "I don't feel tired anymore." His lips curved into a grin as his fingers intertwined with mine. I laughed softly, resting my head against his shoulder again. "Good, because you're not sleeping alone anymore." And in that quiet moment, as the world outside woke up, I realized something simple but life-changing. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with fireworks or grand gestures. Sometimes it comes with a knock at midnight, a confession whispered in the dark, and a kiss that makes every sleepless night worth it. Arturo hadn't just found me that night. He had found us, and neither of us were going back to the silence again.